Well, hello everybody, my name is Max Weiner. Thank you for tuning in to the first installment of It Smells Like Someone Arted in Here. Throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to engage and discuss comedic material with those who understand and enjoy comedy and humor as much as I do. It's rare that I meet someone who has such difficulty deciphering and understanding jokes and humor on their own. So, basically in a nutshell, this is the premise of this show. We found a guy, swear to God, who does not understand comedy or jokes or whatever at all. And he's agreed to come on the show in the attempt so we can try to break down some of these structures and allow him that wonderful opportunity to enjoy these types of jokes as well as other similar or relatable ones. So, without further ado, I'd like to bring on our first guest, Bart Atkinson. Thank you, Bart, so much for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Thanks.
Sorry I'm late. I hit a lot of traffic, and we are in LA. You know what they say about LA?
Yeah.
There's a lot of traffic, so like, what are you gonna do? Yeah, I heard that freeway congestion is getting so bad you could change your tire on the street and not even lose your place in line, you know? Huh? Why would you change your tire in the middle of the freeway? The people behind you would get really upset. You just move over to the shoulder or something. What are you talking about? You're kidding, right? Kidding? I think we have some work to do. I think we better just kind of, you might have to start this? Yeah, so when we got in contact with you, you agreed we could kind of show you some different clips from movies, TV shows, stand-up comedy. We could discuss why they're funny for the many different reasons that people usually point out for being funnier or for whatever reason. Do you mind if we do that? I'm excited about this. Over the course of my life, I just never got it. This humor thing. I work with numbers. Either add up or they don't. Also, my parents were circus clowns, so you can understand why I'd never understood humor. But as long as I can remember, I was never into that sort of thing, or in the know. Whatever these kids are saying these days, in the know. For instance, it's really hard for me to talk about. But I remember the first time I heard a Yo Mama joke. I was suspended for 2 weeks from school because I savagely beat up a kid who said it to me. And I didn't even know what a mama was. I just went to initially he was talking about my mom. He doesn't know her. And to say she's fat, I mean, people die every day from being fat. And it's like, why would you say, you don't even know if she's fat or if she's skinny, it doesn't even matter. Seems really, really rude. It's okay. But just for curiosity, do you mind telling me what that joke was, if you remember? I mean, I guess this would be a good place for it. I actually remember it quite well. It really stuck with me. It went something like, your mom is so fat that she has severe hypertension, a blood pressure reading of 172/90, high cholesterol, diabetes so bad they've already had to remove one of her feet, and they're scheduling an appointment to remove the other one. And she's super ugly. That is a dark one. I'll give you an example of one that I think is funny, that I just heard in this Will Ferrell movie. It says, Yo Mama is so fat, she has 101% body fat. That doesn't add up at all. Okay! We might have some better luck getting you into the comedy game with this clip. This section is from a stand-up comedy act. Maybe one of the best known comedians of the popular culture at the moment. His name's Louis C.K. He's from New York. He's been in the comedy game his entire life. But it wasn't until very recently that he became this really popular, respectable comedian who's now viewed as one of the funniest people on earth. Do you have any sort of questions or anything I can answer before that happens? I'm glad you're showing this. I had some questions in regard to this whole stand-up comedy thing. I've never seen one before. I'm not even really sure what it is. But someone told me it's just a person on stage with a microphone. That doesn't sound funny at all. Well, it is that, but it's not that at all. The stand-up comedy is a pretty amazing thing when you see it done well. What makes a routine so successful is the structured delivery of the jokes of that individual comic. There's a form to it all, so there has to be a general idea of what they can do on stage, but then that becomes completely endless in a lot of ways. I think you have to go into it knowing how well the comic understands humor, joke structures, and the relationship to a crowd, to be able to get a rise or any sort of reaction out of them. The presentation becomes important, and what they do and how they say the things they do becomes maybe even more important. Things from their actual lives, fabrication of reality, finding insightful and interesting ways of looking at the world, provides the audience with ways of thinking that they were able to do maybe themselves before that. So that's the beauty of the joke. We understand that we will be moved in some way by these stories or jokes, be able to think about those things in a new, more insightful way. We find ourselves in a different place than when we began. It's something we unconsciously do when listening or watching a comic. The payoff at the end is a laugh at the realization of thinking in a way that wasn't possible before it. We allow ourselves to fall into it and get tricked every time. Let's roll the clip.
I remember one night I was with a girl, I was like 20 years old, I was already doing stand-up, and I did a show in Washington, D.C. And after the show, one of the waitresses came back to my hotel. She was really cute, and we're making out in my hotel, and she's into it. She's like humping me. So I start putting my hand up her shirt, and she stops me. I'm like, okay. So then we're making out more, and I start putting my hand on her ass, and she stops me. So after a while, she went home. Nothing happened. And then the next night I saw her at the club, and she goes, hey, what happened last night? I was like, what? And she goes, how come we didn't have sex? I was like, because you didn't want to. She's like, yes, I did. I was really into it. I was like, why did you keep stopping me? And she goes, because I wanted you to just go for it. I was like, what does that mean? She says, I'm kind of weird. I get turned on when a guy just gets frustrated and just holds me down and fucks me. Like, that's a big turn on for me. And I was like, well, you should have told me. I would have happily done that for you. And she says, no, it has to feel real and dangerous. I'm like, what, are you out of your fucking mind? You think I'm just gonna rape you on the off chance that hopefully you're into that shit? I'm an idiot. I'm getting kind of a rapey vibe from this girl. I don't know. I suspect she might enjoy being raped. Maybe that's her thing. I don't want to ask first and ruin it, so just take a shot and rape her. What the hell? What's the worst that could happen after all? Jesus.
I think just as for like a premise or a precursor, I want to ask you if you understood or saw what I meant about the delivery of a joke like this and how this delivery is important. How comfortable and true to yourself while delivering humor is equally, if not more important than the jokes themselves. I don't know, I've been reading a lot of this Freud essay on humor and the subconscious in anticipation of this interview. I mean, out of all philosophers I've ever read, he's always so funny about things. And I pulled some sections out of this. If you don't mind, I might jump in and kind of just ask if they're relatable, if I'm getting it. Sure, hey, speaking of Freud, a yo mama joke might be kind of appropriate here. Don't talk about my mom! She's beautiful woman. Sorry. Just a lot of pent-up aggression here. I don't know about that. I am uncomfortable with him talking about sex. He doesn't seem like anything he's ever talked about. I thought we'd be talking about things like in this quote. It is natural, then, that we should choose as the subjects of our investigation examples of jokes by which we ourselves have been struck most in the course of our lives, and which we have made us laugh the most. Really? He is doing that with a sexual experience. I've never had sex. Okay, this isn't about you though, this is about his experience. Yeah, but I made a conscious effort when I was 24 to only watch and listen to things that I have done as well.
I've done.
So hold on, you're saying that you aren't open to any new experience. So like how can you ever do anything? Books. A lot of books. A lot of reading. Okay. But the quote you mentioned is doing exactly what he's talking about. He's saying that he's taking something that happened from his real life and using it in a way that requires and allows us to think about an interaction in a different way. So it's because of how ordinary on the surface this description of sex and fetishes are that, after analysis by him, becomes so out there. It comes down to the fact that women and men sometimes assume that the other party just understands what the other wants and their needs of that thing. Especially in a situation like this, if such fantasies were to be actually carried out, I would end in a very bad, illegal, or like totally awful thing. Oh. So you're saying that during sex, men and women can read each other's thoughts? That's pretty funny. No. It's the opposite of that. The joke is funny because of how that doesn't happen. I should have sex then. It'd be really cool to read someone's mind. This experiment might not work. Can I try one more time?
Okay.
So I feel like I owe this to you. So the joke is in how an experience from real life and the communication between different people causes one person to think in one way and the other in another. Because of what the woman thought in this joke and how a normal, respectable man would think in a situation like that. The man would never go ahead and just do the thing she was fantasizing about. But it is funny because of how he talks about it and how crazy it would be if he acted on that. Even though that is not how he was thinking about things, but how she was. Oh! So the different levels, I think got it. Different levels in how each thinks about the situation comes out of the fact that sex is funny. I mean, it is when you think about it. It's like one person just like smushing another person, and there's like these weird noises, and there's like this stuff I hear that comes out of your fetus. That is, thank you. That is good. Thank you, Max. I would say that isn't funny. Maybe like during sex if like an anvil or like a rock fell in your head, that'd be kind of funny, right? Well, that would just ruin the entire experience. I mean, being funny is one thing, being safe is another thing. And hospitals aren't funny at all. Do you remember the clip? This isn't funny at all. Actually, a complete waste of money. Well, thank you very much for turning into, smells like someone arted in here. We'll try to, whatever.